All right, welcome everybody to tonight's evening session in the Virtual Startup Club. We also invited the Technology and IT Club because we thought that might be a good idea considering the topic. We have two people here tonight, two speakers. We have Kerim here, and who is a fellow Mannheimer. Who'll introduce himself in a minute, and he also brought his colleague Lars. They're both working in Opticoms, yeah, we're very happy to have you. Would have been great to have you on campus. That will happen someday, I'm sure, but not tonight.
Hopefully, yeah.
I think we're all very looking forward to what you have to say. Thanks for being here with us tonight, and thanks for sharing. And
it's a pleasure. Thanks for facilitating.
The stage is all yours. Thank you.
Thank you very much. So should we start then? Okay. Good evening, everyone. Hope you are doing well in these difficult Corona times. I think we are all impacted in some way. Thanks for joining our session. My name is Kerim. I am the co-founder of Opticoms, and today I am here with my colleague Lars. We will together go through the session, and we planned that session to take about 40 minutes. And I hope you will enjoy it. There are some interesting topics we brought. And of course, at the end, we will have a Q&A session where we will both ask and answer the questions. Let's start then. So we first wanted to introduce ourselves briefly. As I mentioned, I am the co-founder of Opticoms with two other partners. I have more than 15 years telecommunications and IT experience. So basically, I worked on topics like 5G services, artificial intelligence, partially data science, mostly focusing on analytics. And especially in the last 2 years, I have intensively focused on technologies like business process management. Process mining is the one particular topic, booming, getting more and more trendy. Robotic process automation is there already with many unicorns doing a lot of great business, and visualization services. And last but not least, I am also a fellow, Mannheim Business School fellow, like you guys. I graduated from Executive MBA program of Mannheim Business School in 2018. Maybe Lars, you can take the stage to introduce yourself.
Sure. Hi, everybody. Pleasure to be here. I'm not a fellow of yours, but I hope that I will meet you at some stage, because I think these kind of events are really, really critical in these times and very, very helpful. So like Kerim, I have a long history in ICT, mainly mobile. And I worked on bringing some of the most innovative brands and products to the market. Companies like HTC, when nobody was actually knowing what a smartphone was, or Huawei and Lenovo. And in the last couple of years, actually mainly focused on data analytics and AI, because I think that these two topics are so fundamental for the future that I thought it would be very, very wise to dig into this. And now here at Opticoms, bringing together mobile with these two topics, with data analytics, with AI, is really where the music is. And I'm excited to be here, and I'm sure that you will see why these three things come together very nicely in the next 40 minutes. So enjoy the show.
Yeah, thank you, Lars, for the introduction. Let's move on then with our content. So here is the agenda for us today. We will first briefly introduce Opticoms with its products and services, and then we will talk about two important digital transformation technologies. These are namely 5G and process mining. And at the end, we will try to correlate these two technologies to each other, connect the dots basically, and try to make sense in the digital transformation context. And last, for sure, we will have a Q&A section. We are very excited to get also your questions. And we have two small questions that we hope will get the participation and get some little understanding about your interests. So let's start with the Opticoms introduction then. So basically, Opticoms is a digital transformation service and solution provider company. So there are three main offerings in categories. The first one is 5G network solutions. In this category, we offer a very specific expertise and managed services around the 5G. and the customers are usually telecom operators. Currently, we are dealing with 2 of them, and also some other industries who are trying to do something with 5G and exploring what the technology means for them. The second area is digital solutions. It's basically off-the-shelf and custom-made software solutions. So the main focus is business process improvement for the companies on the both front-end and back-end operations. These are technologies like business process management, process mining, RPA, and visualization. So, and the last one is consultancy services. It's a very tailored technology and management consultancy we deliver here. Of course, the digitalization is at the center of this consultancy services. And I will briefly give more details about these 3 portfolio items in the next slides. So let's have a look at the first one. It's the 5G network solutions. Here we know actually the emergence of 5G starting from 2018 captured a lot of interest from many industries because the digital transformation is basically the main goal for them. And they really see 5G as a facilitator for the digital transformation. And at the same time, operators are also working very hard because 5G is not new for them in terms of technology, but it's brand new in terms of its prospects, its business models, the value proposition, and so on. Go-to-market strategy is completely changing for operators. They are working pretty hard in this area. So exactly at this point, Opticoms is offering actually a boutique consultancy services, especially focusing on industry players, but staying in touch with operators. Starting from concept, scoping what they want to do with 5G, up to network design. And we also help them with the operations, with managed services, like deploying the 5G network for them on their own premise as a private network solution, and helping them with the operations because it's absolutely new for them. They have mostly no idea how to operate such a complicated network. And we also help telecom operators. They are especially in the go-to-market strategy. So basically what we do with operators, like working together with them to identify their internal capabilities, what kind of products to which customers they can deliver in which ways, even including the sales pipelines and so on. We do together with them market analysis. We help them to develop their products, shape it to fit it into market. And we also help them on pricing, delivery, and these kind of aspects. If we look at the next one, which is digital solutions, as we know, actually in today's business world, competitive means having an effective, efficient, and agile business processes. We keep telling this because it is really at the end the gist of this technology. There are some technologies to achieve this, such as business process management, process mining, and robotic process automation are some of them. And on top, visualization is a kind of complementary to keep tracking on how your business is running. So exactly at this point, Opticoms offers these technologies as off-the-shelf products. And also we help our customers to deliver custom-made software solutions. Of course, we have a very strong partner ecosystem with the technology vendors who are delivering these technologies to us. And we for sure bring our technology knowledge, the competence into the table. And if we look at the last one, which is consultancy services, there we actually identify that digital transformation is actually an agenda point for almost every industry. And sometimes, most of the time actually, external consulting is an inevitable need for the companies because of various reasons, lack of in-house capabilities or staying behind the technology, limited resources, and so on. And even the big companies sometimes require some specific know-how from some experts. And we have seen some examples currently with one of our clients. We see it's a quite big international company. But when it comes to 5G, they really need some expertise and they want to rely on someone because they have no idea to which direction they should shape their digital transformation. And we offer there well-crafted technology and management consultancy, especially to big players, industry players with the focus that digital transformation is really the agenda point for them. And we define our categories in our services in 4 categories. The first one is digital process. The other one is product development, business strategy, and the network technologies, more particularly towards operators. So, okay, now we are going to talk about 2 key digital transformation technologies. As I mentioned, 5G connectivity is the one, and the other one is process mining. So let's start with the 5G then first. So maybe some of you have followed already the telco industry had a rapid evolution, starting from 1G up to 5G, I would say in the last 40 years. And it can be said that the telco industry is one of the most innovative industry among many other industries, especially if you compare to automotive. We are still driving the same cars like 50 years ago. But 5G is absolutely something totally different than what we have in 20, 30 years ago. So if you look at the period from 1G up to 3G, about 20 years, 1980s up to 2000. So we see that many mobile services came into consumer lives, like analog voice, then the digital voice appeared, SMS, MMS type of services, and then the mobile internet services finally. All these services actually were consumer-focused services. They are B2C type of services and delivered by mobile network operators. And if you look at the 4G, 4G was an excellence of mobile communication technologies. It removed all the flaws from previous technologies. It put a lot of enhancements on top of existing technologies, starting from 1G up to 3G. And it was actually also an entry for the new business models for operators to go basically beyond the consumer type of services. To give some particular examples here, like private LTE networks start appearing on industries with 4G first. And emergency services for city cases, enriched consumer services like gaming in cooperation with gaming companies and operators, and so on. Actually, 4G was an eye-opener for this kind of new business models. But now 5G is at the gate. It is completely different than all others. The deployments already started by the operators. They are rushing to cover as much as they can. There are horizons already forecasting in 5 years, the entire Germany, for example, will be covered, about 80% plus. And trials already started in Germany in many different cities, even on the private zones, on industry places. There are some industrial use cases of 5G start appearing in Germany. In Asia, it is way ahead, actually, compared to Europe. And actually, if you look at the 5G itself as a technology, it is not really different than any other Gs, 1G up to 4G. But if you look at what 5G promises, what is its key services, and to which customer it is addressing, it is absolutely a revolution for the telecommunications industry. But it will not stop there. People already start talking about 6G and so on. And the main focus of 5G is actually beyond consumers. It is focusing more on industries. It is focusing more on digital transformation. And the aim of 5G is actually from 3GPP specifications up to many industry-specific associations. The main target of 5G is actually to enable digital transformation, facilitate it basically among many different industries, depending on particular use cases. So then the question comes actually here that why 5G is needed. Why wanted to explain it in a very easy way, putting first customers, their needs and motives, and then try to make sense on what 5G promises in terms of technology capability, and also show some of the use cases. So if you look at the left-hand side, the customers, virtually every industry can be a potential customer for 5G. I listed some of them here. If you look at their needs and motives, this can be defined actually in 3 categories. First one is strategic category. So the industries, first of all, see 5G as something cool, something innovative. So doing something with 5G is seen as innovative, and it's a strategic decision on agenda point for the industries. If we look at the business aspect, increased transactions and reducing the cost is something absolutely the businesses are chasing. And if you look at the technology dimension, faster and more secure transactions, not necessarily only financial, but any kind of business transactions, are really a good return for them, a good motivation for them to enable such technologies. If you look at what 5G promises in terms of technology capability, basically 5G offers 3 services. It's a kind of harmonizing all the previous technologies in one set of technology. And these are enhanced mobile broadband to give high throughput, ultra reliable, low latency to ensure the reliability and accuracy of connection, and the massive machine type communication to make sure the capacity is way better compared to previous technology. Because we used to hear like millions of devices getting connected, not only smartphones, but everything. And 5G is actually a facilitator for this. So just to compare it with the 4G, to better explain how capable 5G is, if you look at the speed aspect, 5G is actually 20 times faster than 4G. If you look at the reliability aspect, 5G is 100 times more reliable than 4G. Depends on the specs, releases, where it is at the moment, it's questionable, but this is the vision of 5G. And if you look at the capacity, 5G is offering actually 250 times more capacity than 4G. And the last one is the solutions. What can be done with 5G? I have listed just some of them. For example, monitoring remote sites, energy sites for energy and utilities industry, or predictive maintenance for manufacturing industry, or customized services for insurance industry with sensors and so on, just some of them. There are dozens of use cases. We have done analysis. It's above 200 use cases that are already being piloted or trialed on many different industries. And I wanted to share one interesting market report with you just to prove what we have said in the previous slide. So this is a report from IHS published in 2019. It's quite new actually, and it's referred by many other companies. It's quite reputable and reliable report. According to that report, 5G is forecasted to enable $13.2 trillion sales in the horizon of 2035. And the key message actually here is this is something 5G is helping industries to boost their sales activities. Just by using this technology as it is and transforming their businesses, they will be able to create $13.2 trillion sales activities. And if you look at particularly to manufacturing industry, that is eye-opening in terms of its volume. It will be able to generate $4.7 trillion sales only within the manufacturing industry, global, of course, these numbers. And it is followed by industries like ICT, retail, and so on. So if I think 5G made enough sense already on all of you, hopefully. Now I wanted to address the question like how 5G can be deployed. What kind of deployment options we have with the 5G? So to answer this question, very basically, there are two actually deployment options with 5G. So one is public network deployment, which is basically a public network infrastructure hosted and operated by mobile network operators. And the industries are benefiting from that infrastructure to realize their digital transformation use cases. And the other option is private network solution. This is a way to deploy 5G, the entire 5G network components within a private zone on premise of the business owner. That also means the entire infrastructure should be owned, deployed, and operated by the business itself. There are some pros and cons of having private networks deployed on premise. For instance, 5G private networks brings really high performance. It also ensures privacy and security. It gives a good operational flexibility, and it's also good in terms of scalability compared to public networks. But of course, there are some disadvantages as well. Deploying 5G in private zone is costly compared to public networks. And it also brings some issues with the global connectivity and service continuity. These are basically because of first cost comes from owning this environment. Total cost of ownership is increasing tremendously, plus the operational costs. And the global connectivity service continuity is something to do with the knowledge of operating this complicated network. So the mobile network operators had an experience on that topic over the decades, but for industry, it is something new. Learning curve is quite slow. It's a very sophisticated technology, and it might create some issues in terms of connectivity and service continuity. So there is actually no one-fits-all solution to deploy 5G. It is rather a trade-off between public and private. It really depends on what kind of use case they're out there to be realized with 5G. And based on our experience, dozens of trials we have involved with many customers, it is usually a mix of both public and private networks. So to say, some part of the network comes from the public domain and some part of the network deployed in a private zone on premise. But it is important to highlight one thing, that the private networks are becoming more and more trendy and more important, and it's actually an inevitable need for the businesses. It is basically because businesses realized that the costs of having such a private network versus the returns from such a network is making a good, so to say, return on investment. So the costs are becoming negligible. And they are also becoming more and more sensitive in terms of, we just highlighted on the pros, like the performance of the network, the privacy security concerns, and operational flexibility, and of course the scalability if we talk about the global international company with many premises on different locations. So I wanted to give 2 examples here, how we can digitalize with 5G. The first example is from retail industry. This is a private-public mixed 5G deployment depicted in this slide. So the radio network and optionally edge computing can also be hosted on-premise on brick-and-mortar location. It's basically a retail store. And why we picked retail? Because retail is one actually very critical industry. They are very much open for innovation. It is basically because of the pressure coming from e-commerce. And their main focus actually is to increase their customer shopping experience with technologies like augmented reality or personalized marketing or interactive store engagements and so on. There are many trials already happening in this area. Even in Germany, the most conservative place in terms of 5G deployment started doing something on this area. And the real benefit is actually not doing this cool stuff. The real benefit is actually having this 5G infrastructure as a data pipeline and carrying all this consumer and operational data to your enterprise systems. So your enterprise systems are getting enriched with the really high quality, and every possible point of collection, the data collection points are reaching to your enterprise systems. And of course, the aim here is to achieve a customer satisfaction, increase your customer retention, and of course, reduce your operational costs. So some examples I just showed here, like targeted advertisements, consumer analytics, and supply chain optimization can easily be achieved with the 5G as a pipeline, and of course, some analytics on your enterprise systems. And eventually, what that means for the retail business owners is like happy customers, the easiest way, informed decisions, and also cost reductions, tremendous cost reductions, especially on the supply chain. And another example is from manufacturing industry. This time it is a fully private network. So all the network components are hosted and operated on-premise. In the manufacturing environment, we know there are many activities, like starting from supplying commodities up to delivery of end products. So the role of 5G is here actually to facilitate each and every connection in between these activities. For instance, it's basically a data collection point, anchoring point, and making sure that the facility is wirelessly connected to each other. Every activities are being tracked and every operations are being recorded. So what that can bring to us, for instance, with 5G, we can enable automated product inspection for quality assurance. Or with 5G, we can, for instance, bring AGV into life for automated in-house transportation. And there are many other examples. Manufacturing is actually one of the most dense in terms of available use cases with 5G. Again, the operational data is loaded into enterprise systems here. And it is relevant to say for the manufacturing industry, the manufacturing execution system is the enterprise solution for most manufacturing businesses that is going to be enriched with this sort of data, so that we can really achieve stuff like predictive maintenance, production analysis, and very customized dashboards for certain operations, certain critical activities, and so on. And at the end, so what that means for the manufacturing business owners is OPEX reductions. Some example in China, they also published a paper on that, what they achieved. Productivity increase, and of course, increased return to their stakeholders, if it is publicly listed or private, but at the end, there will be a good return for the stakeholders. So now Lars will tell us about process mining. Lars, I leave this stage to you.
Thanks. So as Karen has already showed you very nicely, 5G connectivity, especially due to the low latency and the high data throughput it enables, is driving digitalization and automation. And along these lines, a lot of data is produced, obviously. And with process mining, and thanks to the data generated, you actually have the possibility to really dig into your processes, make them visible, analyze them, and mine them. Cam, next slide, please.
Yep.
So in detail, if you look at 5G, you have tons and tons of different data points which are produced and recorded and transmitted. Things like very easy data, timestamps, consumer data, employee data, location data, all kinds of activities which are recorded, information about products which are recorded, and all these feed actually into your systems already. And 5G brings them to you in near real time, which is really, really nice and very, very helpful to better understand your processes. Because as soon as you have a process ID, so a fixed process you want to look into, and an activity and a timestamp, you can easily derive your processes from that. And we face processes in our daily life wherever we go. Pretty much you get out of the bed, you already have a process for you. You board a plane, you personally have made your own process to actually make sure that you are the quickest or the slowest, depending on your preferences to board the plane and find your seat. So you, in your own mind, make up processes all the time, and that's not different to industries, because companies obviously want to get an improvement in agility, efficiency, and effectiveness when they use processes. So let's have a look at how processes do look in real life. If you think about processes, this is where most people actually stand. You have a start point, you have an end point, you have some steps in between, and that's how processes are designed. We all do that. They are designed to fit into your standard businesses. They are simple, they are standardized, and that makes them fast. That's why you like them so much. Next slide, please. But if you look a little bit closer, and if you ask the people who work with the process, you realize that your process actually doesn't really look like what you initially planned. So in day-to-day reality, you already see that there are a lot more connections and not everybody sticks to the process. And people who work with the process identify shortcomings of the process, and they know that they have to have some back loops and so on. So they already realize that actually the process as it was thought in the beginning is not working like that, but it's still fairly efficient and it's still doable. At least that's what they perceive. But the real world looks very, very different, because if you dig into your systems, and I can go to the next slide, please, Karen.
Yeah.
This is how the same process looks like in reality, with all the backdoors and the loops and the shortcuts people are using. Processes become very, very inefficient, very complex, and as you can see in this picture already, they become a very nice target for optimization and for making your life better and quicker. And that's actually where process mining starts to take effect.
Yeah.
Can you go to the next slide, please? So what is process mining? Basically, you all have your systems where you record event logs for your processes. So you have either SAP or Oracle for your systems. You have most likely Salesforce or anything like that for your CRM systems, and that means you already have a lot of data. What process mining now is doing is that they automatically extract data for processes and make your process visible. You start to play around with the process, and the visibility is not only the process flow which you get, but also information about the resources which are involved in these processes, the duration of the process, the cost effect of the process. And with the latest iteration of AI, you actually can also start to automatically see and identify issues in your processes and simulate how processes are changing if you change certain parameters. And these insights obviously give you a strength in your core targets. You want to be more agile. You want to be more efficient, and you want to increase your efficiency, because at the end of the day, that's money in your pocket. And in any kind of business, money in your pocket means that you are more happy at the end of the day. Can you go to the next slide, please? Process mining, if we're talking about this, there's basically three main parts of process mining. One, obviously, the first step is the process discovery, where you look into your process, you visualize basically how your processes are. So the real life view, which already gives you information about the frequency, the cycle time, bottlenecks, stuff like this. You understand how you use your resources, how the resources are working together, and you already get a cost breakdown. But that's only the beginning, because when you do process mining, you really want to take to the next step. That means optimizing your processes, and not just as a one-time thing, but in a continuous mode, which is again where 5G comes into very handy because of the low latency and the high throughput time, so that you really can have a near real-time view on how your processes are working. And these optimization obviously help you to really focus on the top issues, where you waste your money, where you have your inefficiencies, where you see the most delays, and they help you to understand how you actually can reduce these issues and can work on these issues. Also very important, obviously, are the root cause analysis and the root cause optimization, so that you really change these things which are affecting your processes. And even if you not do it frequently, then you will lose quite a lot of optimization potentials you have. And the third column of process mining, which is also getting more and more important now, is auditing and the compliance which companies have to follow. So I'm pretty sure that all of you have within your companies internal audit departments, who are tasked to identify issues where internal guidelines are not followed, and with processes really driving our businesses, this is becoming very, very important. And while in the past you actually had to dig through lots and lots of papers and information manually and send people around the world to check on the internal policies, you can, with process mining, at least do quite a lot of work already automatically and see where your internal policies are flawed. And especially with compliance being more and more important in daily life, process mining helps here also a lot. Next slide, please. And just to give you a few basic ideas of use cases in process mining, the company we're partnering with have done some really, really nice use cases together with some companies. For example, they've done a project with a large telecommunication player in the procure to pay segment, where they basically looked into optimization for their procurement processes. And with process mining, they were able to do some work on PO bundling, on payment optimization, payment terms optimization, and so on, which gave them a yearly savings of $5.5 million US, with just running process mining as a continuous tool, where you actually already can see that the ROI here is achieved in a couple of weeks, I guess, for them. So that was a very, very successful project. Or another example is with a global chemical manufacturer in the order to cash process. So basically, what happens between the order income and getting the cash from the customer. And here again, the removement from bottlenecks in the process and the decrease in the duration of the whole order to cash process, bundled with a speed up in payment collection, gave them an ROI from 1.2 million in annual savings, which again is quite a lot. And then finally, just also to round it up, and because we have spoken about RPA already in the presentation, there was also a project which was done with an international logistics company. And what they wanted to do is they wanted to use RPA to better understand the cost drivers in their resources. They wanted to make sure that their rule-based systems, their rule-based judgment is rolled out throughout the whole company, and they wanted to standardize with RPA as much as possible, and also start using bots for their invoice approval systems. And with all these measures, they actually reduced the mean case duration by 3 hours, down from 2.5 days to roughly so from 2.5 working days to roughly 2 working days, which was a big success for them as well. And the reason why they also took process mining to the next step. And that's really something where you see how effective and how useful it is to not only look into your raw data, but also use into the processes which come along with the data. And then over to you, back again, Karim.
Yeah. Thanks for the great explanations, Lars. I think it gave a pretty good idea about process mining to all of us. And now it's time to connect the dots. So we are going to relate these two technologies, digital transform in 5G and process mining, in the context of digital transformation. So now actually the question is where 5G stands here in that process world. So it actually digitalizes the business processes in a most simple way. And often it also brings some new digital business processes that were not there before, because it simply digitalized the things it was not possible before. So I just brought some examples here with me from three different industries with three different use cases, but that can be multiplied with dozens of other industries with dozens of other use cases. So in total, I have, for sake of simplicity, 9 examples here. For instance, if you look at the AR, VR type of use cases, that is quite commonly visible in manufacturing, and there repairing a broken machinery from distance is one particular use case that 5G brings. And if you look at the automotive industry, sometimes it's also logistic industry called tracking and monitoring type of use case would help us to enable tracking commercial vehicles for the fleet management purposes. This is also a new sort of process for the industry. And these are actually all the processes that were not there before, but now it's possible with 5G. So as a conclusion of the slide, we can say in short, digital transformation with 5G sometimes might also mean new digital business processes for the industries. And now we are going to talk about the data aspect of 5G. So we all know businesses are running on a physical environment mostly. I'm excluding all the enterprise systems now. And these are like machines, robots, assets, and processes, humans, and so on. And most of the time, funny to say, but these things are far from being digital. They are actually things, tangible stuff. And the good thing with 5G is 5G can actually digitalize these things. 5G allows us to digitalize the physical things in a physical world to a digital form. It also helps us, which was not the case with any other technologies before. It helps us very close to real-time and sometimes really real-time data collections, and also analytics, artificial intelligence. Together with artificial intelligence, great value can be created. And with that up to the processing, we might actually reach finally the digital twin of an environment, of a physical thing. So just to give a brief explanation about the digital twin is actually an exact replica of a physical thing, and you can decouple it from a physical operation so that it's your safe play zone to do whatever you want to do, simulate your behaviors, the process behaviors, and so on. And that is actually opening endless process digitalization opportunities for industries. There are many use cases, and even the startups are popping up in this field. They are particularly focusing on digital twin and predictive analytics and offering niche products in this domain. And I just brought the predictive analytics as one example here. So with the predictive analytics, actually, we can answer the questions like, what might happen if I do this kind of changes? Or how I can prevent that will not happen again? What should I modify? Before modifying it actually in the physical world, you can simulate it in a digital world. And in a summary, 5G actually brings a lot of new set of data, and that data is actually enabling us to create new sort of digital business processes for our businesses. And now I will try to relate these two processes and their data for achieving a continuous process improvement, which is the ultimate goal for the businesses. As we know, every business has some certain processes. How many processes we have, how complicated are these processes? It really depends on business to business. But at the end, the fact is that there are certain processes to accomplish your business, to stay in the business. And actually the efficiency, effectivity, and the agility of these processes are the determinants how competitive and how relevant you are in the business. So now the question is how we are going to ensure then that our processes are efficient, effective, and agile. So basically, the digitalization is the starting point. Digitalizing the business processes is the starting point for the businesses. Then leveraging the process data with that digitalization is also the next step. It's a crucial step because knowing how to play with this data and how to create value is really important. Otherwise, it's just a raw data. And only then actually we are able to use technologies like process mining to achieve continuous process improvement. We can monitor the processes continuously and also act on time if there are some actions to be taken is necessary. So of course, the goal here is to achieve a continuous process improvement, as I mentioned, so that the businesses can at the end really stay competitive and stay relevant in the business, especially in today's competitive business world. I just brought some concrete examples on how 5G and PM can work together in the digital transformation context at the next 2 slides. So the first one is predictive maintenance. I demonstrated it in a very simple manner. So the 5G and process mining are working hand in hand in this scenario. So we see a production line here on the bottom left. So there are machineries, human supplies are working together jointly to carry on certain production process, basically. And we have various data collection points in a manufacturing environment. These are like cameras, sensors, lidars, and any sort of end devices with 5G enablement. And with this data, thanks to 5G facilitating this data collection and transfer as a pipeline, we actually be able to do some certain analysis. We will be able to interpret this data if we use the correct methods and correct algorithms and ask the correct questions. Then we will be able to derive the process model from that. And with that in the hand, we supply everything, the pre-analyzed data to process mining system, to the technology. So process mining can actually learn from data. It's like an artificial intelligence. It actually includes artificial intelligence in itself. And it can also simulate the behavior of a certain physical thing in a digital environment. It's a kind of a digital twin, actually. In our case, its particular example is machine. So the process mining can actually simulate the behavior of a machine in a digital environment. This is actually a digital twin what we derived, and with that in hand, also with the simulation parameters, we would be able to, for example, understand how machine would behave on certain conditions by just playing with the parameters. And we can also stress a little bit the limits of machine, and we can define the failure points, at what time it might fail, at what certain load condition or supply condition it might create problem for us. And with that in mind, we might actually be able to predict the issues and take preventative actions for that issues before actually it really happens on a physical environment, so that it will hurt you in terms of your financials and business continuity. And there is another example, this time about how the first one was about predictive analytics using a simulation power of process mining. Now we use the data analytics part of the process mining. Again, 5G is the facilitator. How 5G and process mining can here work together for a continuous process optimization. So that slide is trying to answer it. So the example is from digital fleet management process. The heavy trucks transporting goods from one place to another in B2B manner. And again, there are various data collection points here. I just illustrated on the bottom, like the tracks have certain activities to be carried, and they are doing a two-way communication between the central system and the tracks on the road, tracking, scheduling, navigating, informing tracks on weather conditions and many other informations, and reporting on two directions. So with this data in the hand that 5G is facilitating and collecting, we again will be able to analyze, interpret, and drive the process model and supply all this information to process mining technology. And with that, actually, we would be able to visualize how actually our business process is running in a real world, so to say, as is business process. And that would also can help us answering some of the key questions. I just brought some examples like where my fleet is losing most of the time. How can I better serve the delivery orders? Are there any automation opportunities? Like which tracks are better performing and why they are better performing? All these questions can be answered with the process mining, with the correct analysis. And raising the key questions with that capability, and searching for the answers would help us finding the issues, identifying the root causes in particular cases. We might even be able to define the solutions for the process issues based on, of course, the answers we will get from the process mining. And at the end, we would be even able to implement some solutions or changes onto real process to solve the issues on the real world, thanks to the help of process mining in a digital world. So I try to wrap up our key takeaways from the session here for you. So we first talked about 5G. As I mentioned, 5G is a revolutionary technology in terms of its prospects and services, what it offers, but it's actually not different than any other Gs in terms of technology. 5G is a facilitator for digital transformation, and 5G is a data pipeline with many advanced capabilities that were not possible with other Gs. And we also talked about the deployment options. There is no one-fits-all deployment solution for 5G. It's rather a trade-off between the private and public networks. Then we talked about the process mining. In the second part, Lars has nicely explained us. Process mining is a data-driven approach. It helps us to visualize how our business processes are working. And it actually enables companies to achieve continuous process improvement skills and culture. There are companies start establishing their center of excellence teams as a dedicated team who are continuously working on processes to monitor and continuously improve it. And then we tied it up together to a digital transformation context. So we said 5G is actually bringing a lot of new set of data and processes that can be fed into process mining. Sake of improving the efficiency of business. And we can actually conclude as a one sentence, 5G and process mining together will mean for businesses to have more effective digital transformation in place. So now I think time for Q&A. I don't know, Jens, if you are good on time.
All good, very good.
We wanted to start with our questions first in a very simple way. We wanted to check it in a poll, which I created here, as you see in the screen. I would kindly ask the audience, it will not take your time, there are only 2 questions. I would kindly ask your help here to go to portal www.menti.com and just simply type this code. 3668 328, and I will show the real-time results when you participate. I will wait some time on the first window so that we will see the results on the fly, and after some time I see there are some good participations, I switch to next question. Then you'll be able to see the question appearing again on your handy without doing any action, refresh, nothing. You will get a new question pop up. Answer that one as well, please. So then we will see the results. And I am very curious how it looks like. So let me go to the results screen. I see already the participation. There are 7, 8. Wow, if it goes above 15, I would be very happy. I think we reached. If no one left, I switch to the next question. You will see on your screen that new question is coming. Yeah. 10 again. Thank you very much for your participation. I will go back. I will later on, if anyone is interested, I can also share these results. First, let's have a look very quickly, maybe before going back to the presentation. I will show it here. So the first question was, does your organization consider to benefit from 5G connectivity technology for digital transformation's sake? And I see there are two already really focus on with certain use cases already in the hand. 5 of them are exploring and 3 of them say not a topic at all. Hopefully it will be a topic soon. And the second question was process analytics, particularly the process mining, to see whether it's already in use or planned to be used. So 3 of them are already using, 6 are considering, and 2 is not a topic. I really thank you for your participation. And now we would welcome all your questions and looking forward to have your questions.
Thank you very much, Kerim and Lars. How refreshing. The thing is, we have a lot of sessions where people talk about digital transformation and use a lot of buzzwords, and it's really cool to see people actually doing it rather than just just saying,
we wanted to,
about it.
Absolutely, we wanted to bring practical things, real life things. Of course, a lot of illustrations because we cannot bring really the concrete customer stuff here. Hopefully it made sense on the audience, and we would be happy to answer any questions from North Pole up to the South Pole.
All right, go ahead, guys, ask your questions.
Hi, it's Fabian. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Hi, thanks for your presentation. I'm wondering, because I'm interested in process mining as well and had a look a little bit on the ecosystem here. And I mean, Germany is a forerunner regarding this topic. Most of the companies engaging in process mining come from Germany, and there are big players like Celonis, Software AG, and a couple of more of them. And I'm wondering how you want to compete with these companies, which have quite good solutions already. How do you want to have a competitive edge against those companies?
Yeah, thank you for the question. I take it, Lars. So actually, we are not competing with them. We are cooperating with them. That makes life easier for everyone. So these companies are technology vendors, Celonis and Software AG. But delivering technology to the market is not actually delivering that technology to a particular business. These are two different things. I mean, you learn things in school and you apply things in the business. So they are delivering the technology, but we are delivering this technology to customers. So we are taking this as a reseller. This part of our business solution also I explained in the digital solutions. We are an interpreter in the middle, taking their solution and delivering it to customer in a customized way, because it is not really resonating with customer when you talk about process mining. It is resonating with customer when you talk about ROI, when you talk about a certain process, when you understand actually their business and come up with a solution that is solving their problem. So we are playing this role. In that sense, it's rather a cooperation than a competition, I would say.
Okay.
Just to round that up, maybe we also enrich these process mining products with consultancy and help our customers to better or make better use of process mining within their given environment.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Thank you, Lars.
Okay, any further questions?
Hello, it's Anna Varga. I have a question about the security issues with 5G. Are there any security issues with 5G? Thank you.
Okay, yeah, thank you very much for the question. 5G itself is not a concern at all in terms of security, because first of all, 5G has a very strong association behind who are developing this in a research world. First, they are defining the specifications of 5G, doing a lot of interoperability testings and in different systems cooperating with each other. All the security All the weak points in terms of security are being tested and validated in a big research community. I'm talking about the global research organization called 3GPP, with thousands of different engineers on different aspects. They are continuously testing the technology and validating the technology. But the question is actually valid. Security might be a concern if we, for example, combine 5G together with some other technologies. I mean, if we look at the 5G only as a box, 5G is a pretty secure solution because inside the box, all the components, their communication with each other pretty well defined in terms of protocols and procedures. And it's quite stable in terms of security attacks and all known and all the potential threats and so on. But if we combine this 5G together with some other solutions like enterprise systems, IoT systems, sensors and devices, there are the points where the security threats might happen. And actually 5G is not responsible from that. It is more an ecosystem thing. When you plug two different systems, you have to make sure that they are still relying on the real security policies and procedures and following the standards. If there are small issues in terms of interoperability and interconnectivity, of course, you might create some weak points where security might be an issue then.
Thank you a lot.
My pleasure.
I have a question.
Go ahead.
If you have a change in the process after you started predicting and doing this optimizations and with 5G, do you have to start from zero?
Okay, Lars, did I understand the question that if we want to change something in a process, should we start always from scratch?
Yes, let's suppose somebody comes with a nice idea and removes one of the process steps.
Mm-hmm.
And how does it affect all these optimizations with 5G and process mining?
Mm-hmm.
So the good thing about useful process mining tools is that you are now able to simulate before you actually remove something from the real world, so that you actually already have at least an idea of the impact your change in process has. But the concept of process mining also means that you continuously monitor your processes. So you never start from zero again, but you have the capability to constantly monitor your process, see if someone has changed something, and act accordingly. If it's a good change, then you actually can use it and make it part of the process. And if it's something which is not working well, you just remove it again.
Yeah. So thank you, Lars. And I also wanted to add on, usually the process optimization stories start with the assumptions or the concerns or the questions. Just sake of changing something, changing something is not a good idea. Usually you come up with a problem and you try to understand whether there is a solution for that problem and ask for a help from process mining. And like Lars also explained, what you do once you know your scope, you know your question, and you also got your data cleared up, all the ETL processes you have done, and data is pre-analyzed and supplied to process mining. Then you start simulating some certain behaviors on certain changes without actually doing any real change. Let's say we are removing one activity in between, or we are placing a bot in between two human activities. You actually do this change on a simulated environment with process mining and monitor it on some time. You can even be very specific on what times in a day, on what activities, on how often this is happening. All these things you can configure and observe it sometime to see what are the impacts on the real process in a digital environment. Once you got convinced that is a solution and there are no side effects, then you apply this. And the question was whether we start from scratch each time if we want to do change something. No, actually, if we bring this process mining technology into a business as a daily operation, as part of business operation, Actually, we are accumulating data continuously, and we are supplying this data continuously through process mining. And we are also creating history of process, like how process behaved in what time for what changes. And you actually learn by this, and you actually come to the point in some places where maybe change is not making sense at all. You don't even need to try. Or maybe some changes were really effective and you continue with these changes. It is adding on top of the learning curve based on the process data and the learnings and all the experience you accumulated with the process mining.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, my pleasure.
I have another one. You said in the very beginning that you benefited. I mean, obviously, we're all not benefiting from COVID-19, but you said that you would benefit from that. Now, from your presentation, I understand that you're basically living in a B2B world where your customers are companies and corporations and industry with the focus of Industry 4.0. Can you elaborate a little bit on how you benefit from this? Because I would imagine that people or like the things that you would think of first where companies benefit from COVID-19 would be e-commerce like Amazon and stuff like that. So everything that is B2C, but B2B, I didn't have that on my screen. So can you elaborate a little bit on that?
Yeah, sure. Thanks for the question, Jens. Actually, the word benefiting from COVID is a little bit tricky for me to use, but unfortunately, we are talking now in a business context.
Exactly.
Okay?
I mean, no, but this is a bad thing for everything and everybody. But
absolutely, yeah. But so in a B2B manner, it's actually there are good things and bad things. I will start first with the bad thing on B2B, how it is impacted for us, for our business. I cannot generalize B2B, but for our business. The companies are becoming sensitive in terms of their technology investments, and the budgets are being cut. I mean, last year we see in the Q4 the decisions for investments were quite easy, relaxed, and companies were really willing to work. But this year we see they are really conservative. Even though they have money, they just want to save it for the bad days because they don't know what's coming next. But the good thing is that there are now a lot of hypes in the market. The digitalization is now well established on many industries, and now even the companies popping up, especially in this Corona time, they are popping up as a digital solution providers in terms of digital workplaces, digital processes, cutting down the human costs, like removing the requirement to have a people on site for a production process and so on and so forth. Or for maintenance, you don't need to send expert from one place to another, always on travel. Also, the meetings and customer visits are pretty much becoming online, and all these kind of things, actually, even though they are cost sensitive and conservative in terms of investment, with that pressure in the market and with that awareness that digitalization is the future for them, they are still collaborating. There is a slow progress in terms of budget allocations and so on, but they are willing to at least exchange and understand and address what is their exact needs and so on. Especially in the consultancy area, the tool sales and big volume businesses are a little bit difficult. But in consultancy, the businesses are quite responsive and quite willing to exchange.
thank you.
My pleasure.
Okay. Anybody else? All right. If not, obviously we will also share your LinkedIn contacts again, Lars and Kerem, so you might get questions later as well. And from experience, I can say you will.
Yeah, thank you.
Also, because people will later watch the video and then have access to your LinkedIn profile, or will have a link to your LinkedIn profiles as well. Guys, thanks for being on campus, virtually, definitely. Thanks for all the insight, and I can only repeat myself. It was great actually seeing how it's done on the field rather than just people spitting around buzzwords and saying, yeah, we invest in digital transformation, and nobody really knows what that means.
Yeah.
And I think we all understand a little bit more how it can be done and how it can actually be implemented. So thank you very much for that. Thank you very much for sharing, and thanks very much for being here tonight.
Yeah, I also thank you very much, Jens, for facilitating this. Thanks for everyone for joining and listening. And I hope you all enjoyed. Jens, you already mentioned that in the slide, we also put our contacts. If you have something to get in touch with us, not necessarily business, but we are really open to talk and exchange any topic you have in your mind. Please feel free to contact us. And wish you all a great evening. Stay healthy, please, especially in these times.
You too.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, guys.
Have a good evening. Thank you.
Thank
Bye-bye.
you. Enjoy the rest of your
Bye.
evening.
Bye.
Bye, everyone.
Good.